Right, welcome to today's meeting of the Premises and Personnel Licences Subcommittee on Tuesday, the 2nd of December. Number one is the election of a chairman for this meeting. Any takers? Okay, thank you. Okay, okay.
Thank you, Chairman. We've received no apologies for absence.
Thank you very much. Um, Minutes of the last meeting, which can be found on pages 5 to 12, which took place on Wednesday, the 15th of October. Do I have a proposer? Thank you. Thank you. That was proposed by Councillor Cousins and seconded by Councillor Davidson. Thank you very much. Um,
Sorry, can I just clarify the mover and seconder for the election of the chairman?
Councillor Davidson, followed by Councillor Cousins. Thank you. Right. Are there any declarations of interest? No. I would just like to declare that I do have, for the public record, personal licence, but it has no bearing um, my being on this subcommittee. Thank you. Right, okay. Now we'll go to the report of the Assistant Director, Corporate Policy and Support, A1, variation of a premises licence for the Estuary Wine Bar, High Street, Manningtree, Essex CO11 1AG. And I believe that is Mr Cook. Please, thank you, Mr Cook.
Thank you, Chair. Good morning, and good morning to you, members. We're here today to hear an application submitted for a variation of a premises licence under the Licensing Act 2003. The application is in relation to Estuary Wine Bar in the High Street, Manningtree, application number 2500538 Prem VA. The current opening hours are Monday to Saturday 12 till 2300 hours, Sundays 12 to 22:30. The premises is currently licensed for the sale of alcohol on and off the premises. The application put forward to us is to extend the sale of alcohol on and off the premises until midnight, 7 days a week, and adding late night refreshments to the licence. Under the Licensing Act 2003, the definition of late night refreshments is the supply and hot food and hot drink to members of public after 2300 hours. Proposed opening hours have been requested to be the same as the licensable activities, midday to midnight, 7 days a week. A copy of the plan layout and the location plan can be found on pages 38 and 39 of the report. The applicant has outlined steps to promote the 4 licensing objectives, and these can be found on pages 30 of the report, with further conditions from the existing operating schedule on page 37. All responsible authorities have been consulted as part of standard procedure, and one representation from the planning services as a responsible authority has been received. This can be found on page 41. We've got Matt here today from the planning department if you have any questions. No representations have been received from members of the public on this occasion. Licensing officers informed the applicant of the planning objection on the 14th of October with options available to them. Following further communication between the licensing officers, the applicant confirmed on the 27th of October that they wish to continue with the application and that they will arrange for the public notices to be published. Each application needs to be considered in its own rights and on its own merits, how it might impact on the 4 licensing objectives: prevention of crime and disorder, public nuisance, public safety, and protection from children from harm. All of the relevant human rights information and Section 182 guidance is available within the reports. Chair and members are therefore asked you to determine the application, taking into consideration all the information today and what you hear from the hearing. That concludes my report. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Cook. Councillors, is there anything you want to ask Mr. Cook at this present time? No. Okay. Thank you. I'll now ask the applicant if he wishes to say anything.
Hello there. Thank you for making your time this morning. Yeah, I put in this license application just to extend my drinking hours and capabilities to yeah, kind of make my business a bit more profitable, really, because it's kind of getting really hard for a small business to make more money. I put this application in, and licensing has been really helpful. I found it quite hard work to know what to put on there. I did state that I was dyslexic when I first applied, and I found that quite challenging, and I had to put in 4 different bits of paperwork and the blue notice on the window, which I found quite difficult to do, but eventually then it got put through, obviously. And then I found out that planning had put an objection in, which I think was put on the building before I even opened my business. And I found out yesterday that even if this is approved, I've still got to go through a planning application, which I wasn't told about at all. So, but that's the reason I've just applied for a later license. There's other premises in the vicinity that serve later than me already. There's the Red Lion that serves until 12 o'clock on a Friday and Saturday. There's the Skinner's Arms, which is a pub, and they serve till 1 a.m. on a Friday and Saturday. And they've got a lot more residents around them than I do. I looked this morning, there's about 20 residents within about a 200-yard radius of both of these premises, and I only have 1 resident adjacent to me, which I've got a letter here signed to say that he is happy with how I manage and deal with the public and have a drinks license. I've never had police, ambulance or antisocial behaviour in the last 7 years in the space, and I know that one of the other premises that I've just mentioned has had issues before with drug-related issues, and that's all I'm asking for, really, is just that I can have the capabilities to serve later, carry on supporting local people by employing them and local businesses by getting their trade. So yeah, that's everything. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Hunter. Matt? No? Thank you. Matt, would you like to say something? Thank you.
So the planning enforcement team would like to object against this licence. Back in 2018, when the application was placed into the local planning authority to change the use, the conditions were set for opening hours. This was requested by the original applicant. It was then later adapted to be opening Monday to Saturday, 12 to 11:30, and Sunday, 12 to 10:30. This was to protect the amenity of the local residents. There's been no other applications to change these opening hours, so if the licence was to be granted, it would encourage for them to be work outside of the conditions as such a breach of condition under the Town and Country Planning Act. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much indeed. Councillors, is there anything you would like to ask the officer?
Any breach of any other planning conditions on this property at all?
No, not at this stage. We've not received any objections or any issues. It doesn't say that if the licensing was to be granted that we'd receive any further ones, but it's one of those ones where the applicant originally put in these conditions as a request from them as the opening hours. If we was to receive any issues, then there are powers that we'd have to take on board as part of our position to ensure that the protection of the immunity. It doesn't mean that the applicant can't change the conditions, but at this stage it would be considered a breach of condition if he was to open those hours.
Thank you. Councillor Cousins?
Yes, I noticed the mandatory conditions that were set in place when the conditions went through at the last one. So in actual fact, this is a breach of planning conditions in as much. And the only way to obviously make it work would be to add extra conditions or not to this.
Yeah, so the advantages or the part that the applicant would have to do is have to apply for a variation of condition, because if the gentleman was to open up during these outside of the extended hours, it would be considered a breach of the planning legislation. We, as a planning officer, we can't give a determination, of course, until an application comes in, because we have to base it on its own merit. So that would have to be decided in the future if the gentleman decides to apply for a variation on the application.
Councillor Casey, please don't talk. Councillors? Councillor Davidson.
Yeah. The other two premises that you said that was do we know that I can't remember their opening times? What are the opening times of the other two? Do we know that offhand? It's an important question.
I'm afraid I've been told that it's not important.
Okay, all right, fine.
Want to say something, Mr. Cook? No? Okay. Yes. Okay.
Hello there. It's listed, so the Red Lion, which is up the road from me, it's listed that they serve until 11 every day apart from Friday and Saturday, and they serve till 12 a.m. on a Friday and Saturday. And the Skinner's Arms, they serve until 1 a.m. on a Friday and Saturday, and 12 o'clock the other days. So both premises, one serves till 12 and one serves till 1 a.m. And the Skinner's Arm 1 a.m. has live music on until very late, and you can hear it locally. So yeah.
The Cousins.
Hello. I was just going to ask where your wine bar is situated. It's in a really quiet bit of the Manningtree High Street, isn't it? Where there were shops, banks, things like building societies, that kind of thing.
Yeah, the wine bar is in the high street. There's only one resident across the road, which is the letter that I've got here. Apart from that, there is two kind of flats that are 4 buildings down, and there's one flat that is another 5 buildings down from me. So where I haven't really got any residents really, and like I said, I've got this letter here. He's been there for 3.5 years now and never had a problem with me at all. But these other premises have got a lot of residents around them and a lot of residential housing around them. So yeah.
The other wine bars and pubs, etc., are further down the road where the road widens, and it's more of a hub of activities than where yours is situated in the high street?
Yeah, so there's Luca, which is a restaurant which is further down across from Tesco's, and there's parking outside. But yeah, where mine is, I'm kind of in the middle of the high street, really. Yes. Yeah.
Mr. Cook, can I ask how many letters were sent out to the surrounding area around the wine bar, please?
The licensing authority don't send out letters. Um,
Send out letters. So
they
therefore,
have to display a blue notice on the premises and a newspaper public notice.
so if they don't read the newspaper and they don't go past the wine bar, they wouldn't know anything about it.
Not necessarily.
Right, okay, thank you. Is there anything anybody else would like to ask? Anything anyone else wants to say? Yes, Matt.
Sorry, Chair. I just wanted to point out that the two public houses that the gentleman's pointed out were historic pubs, and they wouldn't have been guided by the planning conditions because they were around before planning actually existed. So in theory, they're not under the restrictions as this one was, because this one was a much later 2017-18 application when the planning of course existed, hence why the conditions were put on. So comparing the Red Lion and the Skinners, unfortunately, that from our point of view, they were created before planning even existed back in the 17th and 18th century.
Give that information, thank you. Councillors?
Hello again. I was just going to say, I believe that the applications that you put in earlier have been refused on different grounds. And I'm just a little concerned about the fact that you changed, it was a conversion of a photo shop originally, and then a coffee bar, and then onto a wine bar from there. Um, and I appreciate the fact that it's has to be appropriate to the locality and to safeguard the amenities of local residents. But you feel that where you work now is a completely safe area, and you don't have problems at all.
Yes. I've been there 7 years, which was like 2 weeks ago. For 7 years, I've never had any problems at all. We've never had any police there, ambulance, never had any antisocial behaviour. We've never had any theft there at all. I don't see that being a problem at all, which is why I put in for the later license. Yeah, I don't see that that's a problem. I've never had any complaints from residents. I had a complaint before I even opened the wine bar because I took over from someone that wanted it as a coffee shop and a wine bar in the evening, that their business didn't go through. I took over the space with the license. I extended the license, and the person that lived in number 18 High Street, which is where this gentleman lives now, who's given this letter, she put a complaint in, but that was before she even knew what I was doing. She thought I was opening a nightclub, and I actually came to a subcommittee meeting about 7 years ago and had to present myself at a meeting like this for that reason. But I've never had any problems at all. Yeah, antisocial, anything to do with children or anything like that in the premises in 7 years.
Councillor Cousins, do you wish to say anything else?
Just from the point of view that the demographic of the high street is, it's very narrow where you are, and the person who put in the objection, I think you said, was lived opposite, and it's a very narrow road there, and where the other wine bars, pubs, etc., are, it's in a much wider area, and I think it sort of dispels the noise a lot more. I am a little worried about the noise carrying on into to the later evening when people, you say they don't live above the shops, they don't live above, because I thought that was the residential
Hello
area.
there. Yeah, so like I said, there's only this one resident that lives across the road, him and his family. Apart from that, there isn't any other residents. We always say to all the customers when they're leaving that they're entering into a residential area, and just to kind of be careful and be quiet. We suggest to people to move along if they're waiting for a taxi. But like I said, we've never had any complaints from the neighbours in 7 years, and we're open 5 days a week. So if it, never been a problem at all. And the pavement in Manningtree is very tight, but it's the same outside the Red Line. That is very tight, and that's quite a busy road as well. And the Skinners is a busy road with a bus stop outside, and we've never had any problems at all.
If there aren't any more questions, then I would suggest that we go out and deliberate.
Is that okay? Thank you very much. So we'll be back in as soon as we have deliberated. Thank you very much. Thank you very much for waiting. I hope it wasn't too long. Right, okay. I think now we've deliberated, and this is what I'm about to read is what we have deliberated on, and this is the outcome of those deliberations. So application number 25/00538/Premva, application for the variation of a premises licence in respect of Estuary Wine Bar, High Street, Manningtree, Essex, CO11 1AG. The subcommittee has given careful consideration to this application. In reaching our decision, we have taken into account the views expressed by the applicant, Mr. Rowan Hunter, the representations made by the licensing manager, Mr. Cook, the objections of the planning department put forward by the planning enforcement officer, Matthew Ramsden, on behalf of the planning department. Mr. Cook summarised the application as received by the licensing department, with no mention of any complaints in relation to the current licensed hours. Mr. Hunter, in his submission, expressed that there had never been a complaint or incidents reported in relation to the wine bar. In the objection of the planning department, it was stated that the hours applied for, if granted, would be in breach of the planning permission, and an application would need to be made by the applicant, which would be considered on its own merit. The committee has taken into consideration all the licensing objectives and the authority's own statement of licensing policy. The current opening hours for the sale of alcohol on and off the premises are Monday to Saturday, 12 noon to 2300 hours, and Sunday, 12 noon to 10:30 p.m. The decision of the subcommittee is to vary the hours as applied for as below. The current opening hours for the sale of alcohol on and off premises are Monday to Saturday, 12 noon to 23:30 p.m. and Sunday, 12 noon to 10:30 p.m. Any party who is aggrieved by this decision of the subcommittee has the right of appeal to the Magistrates' Court. This decision is made today, the 2nd of December 2025. This decision will be sent in writing to the relevant parties. Thank you. And I believe that is it, and that is the end of the meeting. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, officers. Thank you, councillors. Thank you for coming, Mr. Hunter. Thank you very much.